Let's skip the small talk and get real. If your knees hurt, your world shrinks. You hesitate before climbing stairs. You stop kneeling in the garden. You decline that hike. Not because you're lazy, but because the pain has quietly become the boss of your choices. And most of us? We've been told that's just how it goes. That joints wear out like tires. That surgery is the only way. That pain means pills. But what if that's not the truth? What if your knees aren't broken, just misunderstood? And what if healing isn't something you have to chase in a clinic, but something you can invite home? This episode of 4 Ancient Techniques to Heal Leg Pain, backed by new science, is not about miracle cures. It's about remembering what healing actually looks like. Because for thousands of years, people healed with breath, with pressure, with warmth. They used herbs, hands, and movement. They didn't fight the body, they listened to it. And maybe, just maybe, that's what your knees have been waiting for. So if you're tired of being told to live with it, if you've had enough of quick fixes that don't stick, then stick with us. What you're about to hear might just change how you move, how you feel, and how you believe in your body again. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly thought about your knees? I don't mean in passing. I mean really, honestly paid attention to how they feel, how they carry you, how they whisper long before they ever scream. Because most of us, let's be real, we don't think about our knees until they start to hurt. And when they do hurt, it's not just a physical ache. It's missing out on a spontaneous walk with your partner. It's hesitating before you kneel in your garden. It's choosing the elevator instead of the stairs again. It's that subtle, slow way you start rearranging your life not because you want Tobit, because pain quietly becomes the planner. We tell ourselves, it's just age. Like pain is some sort of tax we pay for having lived. But here's a thought worth sitting with. Maybe age isn't the villain. Maybe it's our habits. You see, in America, we've crafted a lifestyle often unintentionally that's slowly wearing down our knees, and we don't even notice until it's too loud to ignore. Think about it. How many hours today did you sit? Desk job, commute, scrolling your phone, watching television, eating meals, Zoom calls. The average American adult now spends more than 10 hours a day sitting. That's more time than we sleep. And our bodies? They weren't designed for this kind of stillness. We were built to move freely, fluidly, but when movement disappears, the body compensates, and often, it's your knees that take the hit. Every inch your head leans forward while texting increases the pressure down the kinetic chain right to the knees. Every pound you gain from inactivity, that adds 4 pounds of pressure to your knees with each step. And that's just posture. Now let's talk food. Most of us live on convenience. Quick bites, fast food, processed meals loaded with sugar, salt, and refined oils. And while it might feel like comfort in the moment, your body is sounding tiny alarms every single bite. Chronic inflammation builds slowly, like smoke under a door, until one day your knees catch fire. The ache you feel? That's your body trying to get your attention. But we don't always listen. Instead, we adapt. We start saying no to things we once loved. No thanks, I'll stay home. No, I can't walk that far. No, the stairs are too much. And our world, once wide open, becomes narrower, with every choice made out of pain avoidance. We stop chasing our kids. We stop kneeling in prayer. We stop moving. And the tragedy? We normalize it. We begin to believe this is just aging. But the data says otherwise. In just 2 decades, chronic knee pain has doubled in adults over 45. But even more alarming, it's now showing up in people as young as 25, even teens. How did we get here? Because it's not just wear and tear, it's wear and tear without repair. The modern world pushes our knees harder and offers them less healing than ever before. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real issue. In ancient times, people didn't go to the gym. They squatted, they walked, they stretched, they danced. Movement wasn't exercise, it was life. They treated pain as a message, not an enemy. They used herbs to reduce swelling. They massaged their muscles to restore flow. They paid attention when the body whispered, so it wouldn't need to scream. But somewhere along the way, we stopped listening. We started silencing. Pain? Pop a pill. Still hurting? Schedule surgery. We forgot that pain isn't always damage, it can be feedback. A reminder that something is out of balance, that something is stuck. And our knees, they don't just break, they burn out. Imagine a car that never gets aligned. The tires wear unevenly, the frame pulls left, the suspension squeaks. Now, think of your body. If your hips are tight, your knees compensate. If your feet are flat, your knees absorb the misalignment. Every joint is part of a chain. You can't fix one without acknowledging the others. But no one teaches us this. Instead, we lose mobility gradually until one day we don't recognize how much we've surrendered. So I want to ask, when was the last time you really listened to your body? Before the pain, before the limp, before the garden chair became your best friend? Have you accepted discomfort as your new normal? Have you stopped moving because you're afraid of making things worse? Or maybe you've already made peace with the idea that this is just how life is now. But what if that story isn't true? What if your knees don't need a scalpel? What if they need alignment, attention, compassion? What if they're not broken, just misunderstood? Before you reach for another ibuprofen, before you book that MRI, just pause. Your body might not be failing you. It might just be asking for a new kind of support. In the next chapter, we'll explore exactly the ancient practices, long forgotten, now rediscovered by people who are tired of treating symptoms and ready to start healing from the inside out. If any part of this spoke to you, if it made you nod, pause, or just feel seen, leave a comment below. Because chances are, someone else out there feels the same way. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's been walking through pain in silence. You never know, this might just be the first step on the path that gets them moving again. You know, in the West, we're taught to treat the body like a machine. Each part has a function, a purpose, a deadline. Joints are seen like gears, bones, like metal rods, ligaments, wires, and if something wears down, we replace it. Pain is often viewed as a mechanical failure, a warning light on the dashboard, something to ignore until it demands surgery or medication. It's an efficient way to think, sure, but is it the only way? What if it's not even the right way? In Eastern traditions, especially traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM for short, the body isn't a machine, it's a river. It moves, it flows, it breathes. Pain, it isn't a broken cog in the engine, it's a message, a sign, a blockage in the current, not necessarily a tear or a crack, but a disruption in flow. And when the flow is off, energy, blood, breath, and even emotion can get stuck. And when they do, they speak through discomfort, through stiffness, through fatigue. Sometimes they speak through the knees. Let's take a second and really focus on something we barely think about, the knee. In Western medicine, your knee is just a hinge joint cartilage, synovial fluid, some ligaments that hold it all together. But in traditional Chinese medicine, the knee is so much more. It's a meeting point, a sacred intersection of powerful meridians. It's where liver energy, kidney vitality, and stomach flow come together. Think of it like a downtown hub where several train lines cross paths. A disruption in any one of those lines slows everything else. So when pain shows up, it might not be a problem in the knee, but a problem showing through the knee. Think about that for a moment. Let it sit. This is where acupuncture enters the story. In the West, acupuncture is often misunderstood. People think it's about sticking needles in random spots. But in reality, it's an art, a science, a poem. Each acupuncture point is chosen, like a carefully placed word in a haiku, intimate, intentional, tuned to the unique energy of your body. The needles aren't there to force healing. They whisper, they nudge, they tell the nervous system, it's safe now, you can soften, you can flow again. They tap into the body's memory of balance, of wellness, of ease. Because here's something powerful to consider. The body doesn't forget how to heal, it just forgets how to begin. Let's talk massage, because not all massage is created equal. In the West, massage often looks like a checklist. Target the muscle, apply pressure, count the reps, done. But in the East, massage is different. It's intuitive, rhythmic, deeply personal. Thai massage, for instance, doesn't just press on muscles. It follows Sen lines energetic pathways akin to meridians. And then there's reflexology. You know those charts where different parts of your feet correspond to different organs? That's not just pretty theory, it's based on thousands of years of observation. Apply pressure to the arch of your foot, and you're not just soothing your soles, you're speaking to your knees, your spine, even your gut. Because in this model, the feet don't just walk, they reflect. Sometimes, healing doesn't look like a pill or a patch. Sometimes, healing looks like motion, but not the kind we're used to. Enter Tai Chi and Qigong. Not exercise in the modern, sweaty gym sense, but meditations in motion. Each breath stretches the fascia connective tissue that wraps every muscle, joint, and organ like a silky web. Each slow shift of weight awakens stabilizer muscles that have been asleep since we started sitting in chairs all day. And most importantly, each practice invites presence, and where presence lives, healing follows. Maria's story. Healing in 12 weeks. I want to tell you a story. Maria was 64 when she finally whispered to her daughter, "My knees, they ache every night." A retired teacher, a gardener, a grandmother of 3. But what most people didn't know was that Maria cried nearly every evening, not from emotion, but from pain. She'd tried pain meds. She did all the physical therapy her insurance covered, even got a few steroid shots. But nothing made it stop. At best, the pain dulled. At worst, it haunted her sleep. Until one day, a neighbor, one of those quietly wise types, suggested something odd. Try acupuncture. Maria laughed. Needles? I hate needles. But she was desperate, so she went. Once a week, for 12 weeks. By the 4th week, she slept through the night. By the 8th, she was planting tomatoes again. By the 12th, she left her cane in the closet. She didn't make a big announcement, she just walked, like she used to. Maria's story isn't rare. It's just quiet. Because in a world obsessed with speed, gentle healing gets drowned out. But ask yourself, what if the slow way is the real way? What if strength isn't pushing through pain, but listening to it? What if true healing doesn't demand more willpower, but more trust? In your body, in its rhythms, in your breath, in roots, in hands, in stillness. Have you ever dismissed something because it felt too soft? Too ancient? Too mystical? Have you rolled your eyes at herbal remedies? Skipped past breathing exercises because they seemed woo-woo? I get it. We've been taught that strength is hard, loud, rigid. But what if softness is strength? What if the reason your knees are, your back, or your heart haven't healed isn't because they're broken? In Eastern medicine, healing is not a battle. It's not about fighting disease or fixing broken parts. It's about listening, partnering. It's about trusting your blood to carry messages, trusting your nerves to awaken, trusting your breath to lead the way. Because your body? It's not just tissue. It's a living story. And healing begins when we learn to read it again. Here's the beautiful part. We're not just telling stories from ancient China or rural Thailand. This is happening here. Now, the Cleveland Clinic? They now offer acupuncture in-house. Harvard? Actively researching reflexology and its role in nervous system balance. Across the country, modern doctors are asking age-old questions. What if the ancient ways weren't outdated, just overlooked? And what if the future of healing isn't about East versus West? There was a Timano long ago hen if you told your doctor you were trying acupuncture for knee pain, you'd get that look. You know the one. A half smile, a polite nod, maybe a glance that says, "Oh, you're one of those people." Because for decades in the West, acupuncture was dismissed as mystical, unscientific, unmeasurable. But science has a funny way of catching up to what ancient wisdom already understood. What once sounded like poetry, today it lights up on MRI scans. For thousands of years, acupuncture was said to move energy, chi, as it's called in Chinese medicine. And while many brushed that off as superstition, modern neuroscience now shows acupuncture does more than move energy, it moves chemistry. It triggers your brain to release endorphins, your natural painkillers. It increases serotonin, helping to stabilize mood. And most fascinating of all, it activates the limbic system, the emotional command center of your brain. So acupuncture doesn't just change how much you hurt, it changes how you feel about the hurt. That's powerful. Because pain is never just physical, it's emotional, psychological, sometimes even spiritual. And healing that kind of pain, that requires more than pills. It requires presence. Now, let's talk about inflammation. You've heard the word thrown around everywhere from arthritis ads to wellness podcasts, but do we really understand it? Chronic inflammation is the silent spark behind so many of today's struggles. Joint degeneration, autoimmune diseases, even anxiety and depression. And what does acupuncture do? It tells the body to quiet that alarm. It relaxes tight muscles. It increases microcirculation, bringing oxygen and nutrients to the tiny capillaries often forgotten by modern medicine. It doesn't bulldoze pain. It redirects it. It calms the system instead of shocking it into submission. So when someone says, "It's just placebo," ask them this. Then why does the body respond? As if it's finally been heard. Here's something that's often overlooked. Pain is a pattern, not just a sensation. Over time, your body can memorize pain, like a song on repeat, like a loop that keeps playing even after the original injury is gone. That's why some people still hurt, even when scans show nothing wrong. The brain has learned to expect it. The nervous system has learned to anticipate it. And acupuncture? It gently retrains that pattern. It helps your nervous system downregulate, calm down, recalibrate, like guiding a flooded river back into its natural flow. Not by force, but by listening. What you can do at home. Gentle practices, big results. You don't need a clinic appointment to begin this journey. In fact, some of the most powerful tools for healing are already within your reach. Let me share 5 practices you can start today, no prescription required. 1. Gentle yoga or stretching. Start with just 10 minutes a day. No intense poses, no fancy clothes. Simple movements like cat-cow, legs, up the wall, supported bridge. These aren't about burning calories. They're about restoring flow. Because when you stretch with presence, you're not just moving your body, you're speaking to it. 2. Pressure points for the knee. Try this tonight. Use your thumb to press gently on ST36, just below your kneecap, and SP9 inside of your leg near the shin. Press for 30 seconds each. These points don't just help your knee, they help your digestion, reduce swelling, and calm your nervous system. That's why it's called reflexology. Your whole body is mapped in your feet and legs. If you learn the language, you can start to speak healing to yourself. The 3. Heat over ice. Western medicine loves ice. But traditional Chinese medicine says cold slows healing. If your knee is hot and inflamed from injury, yes, it might help in the first 48 hours. But if it's stiff, dull, or chronic, go for warmth. A heating pad, a steamed towel, an herbal compress. Warmth opens the vessels. It invites flow. Cold says, shut down. Warmth says, let's begin. 4. Natural anti-inflammatory foods. Your kitchen is a pharmacy. And food is information. Feed your body the right data. Add turmeric with black pepper, ginger, leafy greens, omega-3s like chia seeds or wild salmon. Cut back on refined sugar, white flour, seed oils. Try golden milk before bed. That's turmeric, warm milk, cinnamon, and a touch of honey. It's not just cozy, It's medicinal. -5. Breath and stillness. And finally, sometimes the most healing thing you can do is nothing. Just breathe. 5 minutes a day. No app, no mantras, no pressure. Just you, your breath, and stillness. Deep breathing lowers cortisol, improves blood oxygen, reconnects you to your body. And the truth is, your knees don't just carry your weight. They carry your life. Let them rest, too. If you're watching this and you've been in pain for a long time, I want to remind you, you have more control than you think. Not everything can be fixed overnight, but everything can begin again. And maybe that first step isn't a specialist. It's not a supplement. It's not even a stretch. It's a shift. In how you see your body. In how you talk to it. In how you trust that healing isn't gone, it's just been waiting. Waiting for the right signal. P5555555555555555555555555555555555555555555555555555555555555555555555555. There was a time ago so long ago saying you were getting acupuncture or massage for joint pain would earn you that look from your doctor. A raised eyebrow. A polite smile that didn't quite reach the eyes. Or worsey scoff followed by, "That's not real medicine." But something's changing. And this shift, it's not quiet, it's not subtle. It's real, it's growing, and it's finally getting loud enough to notice. From Harvard to the Mayo Clinic, institutions that once stood firm on the side of science-only treatment are now offering what they once ignored. Acupuncture, medical massage, mind-body therapy. Not as alternatives, but as partners in healing. So what changed? One word: evidence. Study after study has confirmed what traditional healers have practiced for centuries. Touch heals. Breath matters. Stillness rewires the nervous system. But it wasn't just the science that moved the needle. It was us, the patients. People tired of pills that numbed but didn't solve. Tired of surgeries that left them just as limited, but with new scars. People who didn't want to be treated, they wanted to be heard. And finally, Western medicine started listening. Doctors who changed their minds. Take Dr. Sarah Wexler, a respected orthopedic surgeon. She used to dismiss acupuncture until one of her most stubborn post-knee replacement cases found relief not through meds, but through 10 sessions with a licensed acupuncturist. Now, she refers patients weekly. Or Dr. Jamal Singh, a sports physician in New Jersey. After watching his athletes heal faster with Thai massage than with ice and ibuprofen, he brought certified practitioners into his clinic. These aren't out there doctors. They're Ivy League, trained, board certified, evidence-minded. And they're proving that healing doesn't need to pick a side. East meets West at last. In the most forward-thinking clinics today, you don't just see a doctor. You meet a team. A physician stabilizes your structure. An acupuncturist restores your energy flow. A nutritionist fuels your repair. And together, they ask not just, "What's your diagnosis?" They ask, "What's your story?" Because healing doesn't start with a prescription. It starts with being seen, fully, as a human, not just a file. Now let's be clear. If your knee is hot, red, and swollen, you can't bear weight or have a fever, go see a doctor. Right now, no herbs, no hesitation. Eastern medicine is powerful, but it's not a substitute for emergency care. Know when to listen to your body, and know when to listen to science. So, what if we stopped choosing sides? For decades, we've split healing into categories: clinical or soulful, scientific or spiritual, East or West. But maybe healing was never meant to live inside walls. Maybe it lives in between. Not as either or, but as both. And maybe the future of medicine isn't about inventing something new. Maybe it's about remembering something old. And finally, honoring both paths. Maybe your knees don't need another injection. Maybe they need something gentler, something slower, something wiser. A warm compress instead of ice. A cup of turmeric tea instead of another pill. 10 minutes of early morning movement instead of another week of hesitation. Because healing doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And if you're quiet enough to hear it, it stays. For decades, we've divided everything. East versus West. Science versus tradition. Technology versus intuition. But the body doesn't live in those divisions. It lives in balance. Maybe the most powerful way forward is the one that circles gently back to breath, to food, to touch, to rhythm, to remembering that healing isn't something we wait for, it's something we awaken. So if this video spoke to something deep inside you, if it made you pause, or breathe, or feel just a little bit more possible, tap like, hit subscribe, ODA, and most importantly share this with someone who still thinks surgery is their only option. Because maybe what they need most is hope. The body knows how to heal. We just have to remember how to listen. Thank you for walking this road with us. This is Sit Here with Teenagers, where health isn't just science, it's story, it's soul,